Hey guys, welcome to Admit 3, where we discuss all things movies, media, and television. I'm Kurt.
I'm Laura.
And I'm Rob.
Thanks for tuning in.
Welcome back to our coverage of HBO's The Last of Us. This week we're chatting about episode 4, Please Hold My Hand. The episode centers around Ellie and Joel as they continue their journey across the country, which is going a bit more smoothly now that they have Bill's truck. Once they reach Kansas City, Missouri, however, the pair are ambushed by a civilian group led by a vengeful woman named Kathleen, and the remainder of the episode follows Joel and Ellie as they try to elude the community and escape. The episode clocks in at under 50 minutes long, but it's quite a nail-biter. Guys, what did you think?
It was good. It was solid. It wasn't as great as last week's, I didn't think, but it's hard to compare the two. Last week feels like it was very, intentionally crafted to be, a beautiful, talked about episode. And it's also, we get a whole, 20, 30-year period in last week's episode. So it progresses the story a little bit further. It reminds me a bit of episode 2 in that way, how it follows a big, great episode with a smaller, let's progress the plot, just an inch sort of episode. But it's still really solid. Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey, I'm really buying them as these characters. Their bond grows a bit in this episode. The banter between them gets more fun. And they find themselves in quite a bit of danger by the end of the episode. Spoiler alert, by the way, Bill's truck does not survive. What'd you think, Rob?
I don't know what the fuck is going on. I feel like this is the type of episode where if you played the game, you'd have a lot more insight as to what's going on. There's it's not Fedra or the Fireflies. It's this new group that have like We the People insignias on their cars and stuff. I don't know if that's what they go by, We the People. I have no clue. I think Joel referred to them just as people at one point, which I don't know if that's what they call themselves or if he's just saying they're people. I don't know. But
I believe
Yeah, I think called them.
it was Fedra that killed Kathleen's brother, so now she's going after all of them.
okay.
Am I wrong? Am I right?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm confused, and I'm sure if you'd played the game, you'd probably know.
Yeah.
At least I'm assuming you'd know.
Yeah, there's a lot in the air right now. Like with Kathleen and the whole backstory of this community, they revealed such a small amount in this episode.
Yeah.
That I think we're going to know more of that story as the season goes along.
I also really want to know what's going on in that, like, at the bottom of that building.
Yeah.
Or when they open the, like,
Oh, yeah.
the basement
forgot
door.
about
Yeah,
and
I completely
the
forgot
ground
about
is,
that.
like, rolling. And she's like, no, it can wait.
That's got to be another thing, like, if you played the game, you'd probably have an idea of what's going on, but I have no clue.
No clue.
I like that we don't know what's going on, but I also feel left out.
We need to know. Yeah, I don't feel like this. Like, I liked how he started laughing at her stupid pun book because
Yeah, these dad jokes all through the episode. I do love that.
so their bond is growing. But I feel like this episode was kind of, I don't want to say boring, but like it didn't feel like that exciting.
Okay. I actually like this episode. Maybe not as much as, like, the past few, but I still thought it was really good. There was something that I noticed, and maybe I was just looking too much into it, but you know when Joel is getting attacked by that one guy after he thought he was in the clear, and Ellie is hiding in like a hole in the wall, and she like has this moment where she realizes, oh, I've got to help him out somehow,
Yeah.
and she like thinks about grabbing the gun, and then she pulls out a knife, and it's like she's having a moment where she's deciding what would be, you know, easier for her to do, maybe not physically, but like mentally for her to like deal with. At least that's how I took it.
That's not how I took it.
Okay.
How'd you take it?
I took it as she grabbed the knife and then she's like, wait, I have the gun, but do I want to let Joel know that I have the gun? Because at that point he didn't know that she had it yet. So she's like, do I take the knife out and like have to do it up close, or do I let Joel know that I have the gun but I can be back further? I don't know. That's just how I took it.
Yeah, that's totally possible as well. Just the way that I saw it was like she took the knife out and she was thinking about like, could I really go up and like stab this guy like point blank face to face, and then she was like, it'd be easier just to use a gun.
I think she might be able to do that because she did stab that one
I don't know though.
clicker in the
Oh,
eyeball.
that's a clicker though. That's a
It's a
little
zombie.
bit
But you
different.
can tell she has a little bit of a dark side.
Well, for sure, she has a little bit of a dark
Yeah.
But
side.
she's also still got really like a lot of humanity. Like she was crying after that guy died, even though I mean she did shoot him, yes,
Yeah.
but then Joel finished him off, and she was crying. So obviously she's not like
Yeah, I
cold-hearted
wanted
killer.
to mention that actually, her performance in that moment where she pulls the trigger, you can tell from her facial expressions that she's warring with how she feels over this. You
Yeah.
can tell she's really shaken up by the fact that she just did this and hurt this person. And I thought it was really effective also the way that the person who was shot, the way they flipped immediately, or like,
Yeah.
oh no, I'm sorry, this is my bad, we're sorry.
We can work
come back to
together.
my place. You can have lunch.
just begging.
Isn't
and
it funny
was
how that happens?
Yeah.
When you no longer have the upper hand, they're like, no, wait, I
listen,
didn't really mean to
That
do
guy did a
this.
pretty good job of playing like
Yeah.
the begging dying guy.
Yeah, well, he did fuck around and
He
find
found
out.
out.
And I feel like we all knew that whole time as it was going on that like Joel wasn't gonna let this guy go, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
But you could see in Ellie like she wanted to like trust him. I guess it's like
she was thinking, oh, well, if that was me, I would want someone to have the benefit of the doubt and save me.
yeah, and it's just like I guess just because Joel has been around the block more, like in this type of apocalyptic world, you have to like, you can't, you gotta
Yeah.
like take away some of your own
Self-preservation.
humanity just to stay alive. It's unfortunate, but
But you also feel in this episode a little bit of Joel wishing that wasn't the case. Like,
Yeah.
wishing that she could be right and things didn't necessarily have to be this way. So, in that way, she's pulling him to the light a little bit. And of course, he sees his own daughter in this character. But it's really moving him further from that dark place he was in the first episode.
there were I believe this was in this episode we just watched where Joel is talking about the Fireflies and how they're kind of just like whack jobs and like they believe that like they can save the world but it's not possible or whatever. And I think that I don't know if he completely believes that or if he just wants to tell himself that because it makes it easier for him to do the things that he has to do to survive. But I feel like obviously by the end of this, maybe this season, maybe next season, I don't know what their plans are, but I feel like he's going to totally like swap and he's going to put all his faith in Ellie to like, create some kind of, not an antiviral, I don't know what you'd consider it, but some kind of like vaccination or something against, I don't think you can even vaccinate against fungus, but some way to stop it.
Stop it from growing within.
I'm excited
The whole thing is weird.
Yes,
What?
for
I think the whole thing is weird. The
what,
whole
the-
concept. Like there's,
the fungus.
Fungus?
but I'm saying
fungus.
like, it's not supposed to be able to grow in humans, obviously.
Yeah.
It's only supposed to be able to like grow at a certain temperature, correct?
Yeah.
And somehow,
It's in Boston where it gets freezing cold every winter.
and also,
Not
you're
this one,
telling
too.
me this one bitch is the only one
Whoa!
that is immune and can possibly they don't even know if her blood or whatever would be able to create like an antibody or whatever the
Well,
you're talking
that's
about.
the point. They want to figure out if they can.
So they're just gonna drain her of all of her blood until they find the right
I
combination.
don't know,
think
but you
you're
gotta try
jumping-
something.
You're jumping to conclusions here, Laura.
They're gonna chop her up into
They're
pieces.
just gonna cut her open as soon as she arrives.
That's what I'm saying.
They can put her
She would
blood
be
in
an
jars.
This should be a science experiment for the rest of her life.
I mean, if this was
It doesn't matter who gets her, the good guys, the bad guys. She's gonna be used and abused.
I don't like where this is going.
Yeah.
But
Good thing Laura's not writing this show.
if the world really is like how it is portrayed in the show, I don't think there would be the infrastructure or like the technology available for somebody to even run like the tests and like develop any type of cure. Like
Well, they developed that device to tell if
They're
someone's
eating-
infected or
they're
not.
eating 20-year-old Chef Boyardee. I don't think they really can.
Oh god! And do you know what's actually pretty fucking wild? Chef Boyardee could probably last 20
Oh,
years.
absolutely.
It's so gross.
I
It wouldn't
actually
be
kind of
what I
wanted to
went
go get a can of Chef
And like
Boyardee
leave
early
it for as
on.
long as you could.
Well, no, eat it immediately. I
Oh.
felt nostalgic for it watching it in the episode.
It might not taste great after 28 years, but I'm
It
sure
might
it's
not
still
taste great after a day.
True. Anyway.
Would you eat it cold, like if you didn't have like a fire or anything?
I eat it cold anyway.
What?
My
He's a psychopath.
method of Chef Boyardee was always straight out of the can.
You were some botulism doing that.
Straight out of the can. Chef Boyardee, SpaghettiOs, Beanie Weenies, which I already said would be my shit. For the apocalypse.
Eat it straight out of the can. See,
I'm
he'd
straight
do fine
out
in
of
the
the can. I do
apocalypse.
fine.
He'd be
Yeah,
great.
I live every goddamn day of my life like that.
Jesus fucking Christ. I can't, like, even comprehend putting cold SpaghettiOs in my mouth.
Room temp.
No.
Room temp. They
If
weren't
it's
in the
not hot,
refrigerator.
it's cold.
I don't know.
Uh-oh.
Disgusting.
I used to say that every morning when I woke up. Side note, I used to say that every morning when I woke up to see if I still had a voice. I know that has nothing to do with this podcast, but I remember being 5 or
What
6
did we
years
just
old.
step
I
into?
don't. I remember being 5 or 6 years old and waking up
Say,
and saying "uh oh spaghetti-o" immediately to see if I still had a voice. I don't know why I
wouldn't you
thought.
have, yeah, I was like, why wouldn't you have a
I don't
voice?
know. I didn't have no idea.
Maybe the one day he didn't say it, he wouldn't have a
I know.
voice.
This is getting out of control.
So what
It's all my
was,
fault.
what was the name of this character? Kathleen, I think you said?
Kathleen, yeah, played by Melanie Linsky, who's great in everything. She's in Yellow Jackets on Showtime right
I
now.
haven't seen that.
I haven't either, but
Right?
I've heard
It
it's really
looks pretty
good.
cool.
I've heard it's great, but she's been in a ton of stuff that I really like. I got to shout out Sweet Home Alabama for Sherry because
2.5
Melanie
Men.
Linsky's in. Well, I wouldn't know anything about 2.5 Men.
She played Charlie Sheen's, like, she was obsessed with Charlie Sheen's character on the show.
Ooh.
Oh, okay.
I'll skip that one. But she's great in everything I've seen her in.
I was just gonna say that where she's like talking to the doctor guy in the cargo container, and obviously the doctor, she thinks at least the doctor knows something about somebody's whereabouts that she's looking for, and
Henry, right? I think she was looking for someone named Henry. Henry.
sounds about right. And there was a point where like she's about to shoot him, and he goes, "I'm your doctor," and then something happens. She gets like a call, and they walk out, and there's people, you know, the people that Joel and Ellie killed, and you know, one of the guys is still alive, but obviously not gonna make it. And she was like, "We've got a doctor. Can we help in any way?" And they're like, "No, he's toast. He's fried, basically." And she just walks right back in and then shoots
Yeah,
the doctor after it.
Yeah,
It's just like,
it's actually iconic.
I feel like that whole scene was just like showing that she was like supposed to be like a badass.
it
But
was.
also maybe not the best decision to kill a doctor in these trying times.
They survived this long without one.
No,
What
I
do you
mean,
mean they had one?
They had him.
He was alive.
until
In
she shot him.
prison, but they weren't using
I don't
him.
think they had him in prison the whole
Yeah,
time.
he's recently in prison. Just the 5 I got.
Yeah, because they just took over. They're coming after.
Is that
They're coming after the Fedra people.
is that quarantine zone that they passed by and they're like, why is the
Fedra.
quarantine zone? Okay, is that quarantine zone? It's not the same one they came from originally, right?
No.
Okay,
It's different.
so how did
They
they
came
know?
from like Boston and now they're in like Kansas City.
They just have been to that
Maybe they
quarantine zone
know.
before.
Maybe they know where each point is. I don't know.
Maybe. Anyways, those two people that were like running away, Kathleen's character, she went up in the attic and she saw like the picture of them. They had like, it looked like they were just like superheroes or something.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the episode where they pull the guns on Ellie and Joel, they've got like the
Yeah.
red stuff around the eyes, like they're just as superheroes. And I'm wondering, what are you guys' thoughts on that?
See, I'm confused. Is it her son and like baby's father, or what is that scenario?
Kurt was shaking his head, so
Well, no, I'm just shaking my head because I don't know.
Yeah, it's
I don't
hard.
know.
Like,
that's what
I
I
just
I'm
that's what I
assuming.
assumed.
Yeah.
But again, we only have so
but I'm
much
also
information
wondering
right now.
if that's the case, why are they trying to get away from her?
because she's a psycho.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So like she's trying to raise this army again, trying to find her son and baby. Well, I guess this is all. We don't know.
That's the first thing that I assumed too, was that it was her kid
Yeah.
and like either her significant other or something like that. Because otherwise, why are you so desperately looking for him? Like, I'm not sure. Maybe it's like another Ellie situation. Like maybe he was immune and they wanted him for money. They're gonna trade him like some animal or something. I don't know.
I do like the fact that he had a gun though. He's like what 7 or 8, and he's like,
I like the fact
"Please,
that
bitch."
Joel put a bunch of broken glass around the door so
And
that he could hear
didn't
people
even
coming.
tell
He
them.
was like,
Yeah.
"Would you even wake up if somebody did come?" And he was like, "Of course, that's why I'm doing it." And then he was just dead asleep the whole time.
Well, they probably came in from a different.
If you noticed, actually, when the scene at the end, he's sleeping on his left side so that his right ear is up, and
Yeah.
she pointed out that his right side is where he can't really hear. So I'm sure they did that on purpose, but I just thought that was kind of a cool scene.
One of the funny gags in this episode was the running dad joke thing, and I wanted to come up with my own dad joke
Oh,
to tell
God.
you guys, and it was really bad. I embarrassed myself a little bit. It was like, did you know that the calendar is the world's most eligible bachelor? It has so many dates in a year, and it was really bad. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna let Siri tell me a dad joke. So I said, I pulled out my phone. I said, "Hey Siri, tell me a dad joke." And she said, "I'll tell you." She said, "Do you know what Alexander the Great, Winnie the Pooh, and Chance the Rapper have in common? The same middle name."
Shut the.
Are you Siri?
I don't know which was worse, mine or hers.
I think both of them are equally as fucking bad.
That's the whole point of dad jokes, though. They're supposed to be painful.
That one was very painful.
You know what I hate? I'm really good at making dad jokes on the spot. But trying to think of one, I couldn't fucking do it.
Well, maybe
was
because
useless.
you're not actually good at making dad jokes on the
Oh
spot.
No,
no,
he's not.
am.
He's not bad.
Wow.
No,
I
I
feel
mean, he's
betrayed.
not bad at making
Oh,
dad jokes.
okay.
I wasn't trying to say you are bad at making dad jokes.
Okay, I was.
It's like,
I was
I've
really
never
reeling
felt
right
more
there.
betrayed in my life.
No.
The show on the radio I listen to every morning, actually, they tell you a dad joke every morning, and I guess I just block them out of my memory because I could not remember a single one.
So the end of the episode ends with this child and his father.
Pointing a gun at Joel and Ellie.
Do we think that they're going to end up teaming up together and taking out Kathleen and her group of people, or like it's so hard?
I think maybe they'll team up. I think for sure they kind of have a similar purpose. Seems like they both want to get the fuck out of town. So maybe they'll team up a little bit, but I don't know
Maybe
if they're gonna
they're-
like revolt or anything.
Maybe
Like
their
that.
pack of 2 will become a pack of 4.
Maybe.
I think if there is any type of
Alliance,
alliance or agreement between them, it's probably going to be short-lived.
because
and-
they're gonna die.
Well, I mean, we saw the amount of people and the amount of weapons and stuff that this group, whatever they're called, people, Joel calls them. I mean, they're four guys against that. They don't stand a single chance. I mean, their best bet is just to leave. Obviously, we're just speculating. I don't imagine they would want to stand and fight. They're probably just trying to escape. And, they'll probably end up taking a couple of guys out on their way out of the place. But I'm assuming they're not going to want to hang around that place for too long.
I'm wondering because we're already on, already finished episode 4, so episode 5. I'm assuming there's only going to be 8 or 10.
There's 9.
Yeah,
The number
so
you
we're-
didn't say.
So we're almost halfway through.
Yeah, we basically are.
Well, no, because we watched 4 so far, right?
Yeah, so 4.5 would be half. So half of
We
the next
haven't
episode
gotten
we'd be
halfway
having.
through the next episode.
Which, by the way, airs
Friday.
on Friday this week instead of Sunday because
Friday.
HBO didn't want to try to compete with the Super Bowl.
Yeah, very smart move.
I actually don't know. Friday's like the dead zone for TV. Nobody really watches
I know,
TV. So, but I'm wondering.
It's been increasing every week, so I
It
think
has been
it's
increasing every week,
going
but it's
to be.
it's gonna fall regardless.
Since it's streaming, though, I mean, people can tune in
Yeah,
anytime.
for
It's not
sure,
like-
for sure. That's the reason I don't know if it made so much of a difference streaming Friday instead of Sunday because nobody really watches TV on Friday, and they weren't going to watch it on Sunday anyway. So it's going to rely on the streaming numbers regardless. So moving it for me, in my mind, doesn't make that much of a difference. I guess
I
that
don't know.
remains to be
Maybe
seen.
the numbers will be higher though because they can access it 2 days earlier. So
I don't know either. I'm just glad that they did move it because then we can watch the Super Bowl. We can watch The Last of Us early. We can record early. It all works out.
Who do you guys have in the Super Bowl? Put it on the record right now.
Chiefs.
The Falcons, even though they're not playing in the Super Bowl, they're going to win.
That would be a twist.
I'm rooting for the Eagles personally. I'm gonna get one of those big like foam finger things. I'm gonna get an Eagles hat. I'm gonna get a jersey. It's gonna
Why
be great.
waste
The whole
money
9
on
yards.
one day? What? Who are you going for?
I'm gonna go on FanDuel.
It's tough. I've got the Eagles in a close game. I've got the Eagles.
Did you
That's
just
crazy.
make that on the spot? Because you seem like you're very
Yeah.
conflicted.
The
Mahomes.
Chiefs.
Mahomes in the Super Bowl. They're going to
The who?
Well, yeah, Patrick Mahomes is great, but I mean, they didn't. He was in the Super Bowl against the Buccaneers a couple of years ago, and they didn't win.
That's because Tom Brady cheats.
But Brady didn't cheat in that game.
The past few games I've seen of the Eagles, they've just absolutely steamrolled their opponents. So I don't think it's so like clear cut who's gonna win.
I think it will
Well,
be a
the
very
Super
good
Bowl-
game.
the
I
Super
think it's gonna be a very
Bowl,
high scoring game.
The Super Bowl scores leaked.
What was it, 37-34 for the Eagles? If that ends up being the score, I swear to God, I will never watch another fucking game of football in my life. Even if it's just pure coincidence that it ended up being the same score, I will never trust it.
The NFL is canceled if it's the exact number. They're gonna be like, you better not fucking make this exact or you're all fired.
We'll do a Super Bowl review next
Yeah,
time.
let's do it.
So do you guys want to give final reviews for The Last of Us episode 4? Please hold my hand.
Sure. Should I hold your hand while I give mine?
I was reading this off the paper, and for some reason I thought
I
it said
really-
pants instead of hand, and I was like,
really thought you were gonna reach out for Kurt's hand there.
I mean, I was reaching, it wasn't hanging.
Across. I'm like, what the?
Well, it's brotherly
I
love,
didn't-
man.
Really love it. I didn't really hate it. So
Sounds like you hated it.
No, I didn't hate it. I just thought like the last 3 episodes were like a
stronger.
little- Yeah.
it's hard to compete when last week's episode was so highly revered.
Oh
Like
my
everybody
God,
was saying,
yeah.
it's the best episode of
What
television.
did I give it, a 5?
I think I
gave
gave
it a
it a
5.
5. Yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
get 5.
So it's like hard going from something like such a strong
Yeah.
emotional episode to this.
Okay, but you said this is the weakest episode so far. And you gave episode 2 a 3 out of 5. So that means you have to give this one, I would say, lower than that, if it's weaker than that.
First of all, I
Which
give
means
it
that
whatever
you
the
hated it.
fuck I want to
You gave
give
it
it.
dog shit.
I would probably give it a 3.
I would actually agree with Laura, surprisingly, that this is the weakest episode so far. But
The weakest thing. Goodbye.
I still really enjoyed it, despite it being, in my opinion, the weakest episode so
Yeah,
far.
that's what I'm saying. Like it was still enjoyable. Like it
Yeah.
was still a good episode, but it was the weakest out of the 4.
Out of 5, I would give this a 3.5, which I think the lowest I've rated an episode so far is 4, other than this one.
Yeah.
So
For me, it's about on par with episode 2. I think it's really solid. I'd give it a 3.5 also. Stop.
So we're
rolling your
all in
eyes
the
at me.
same. What score did you give it, Laura?
2.5.
I gave it a
What?
3.
So we're all kind of in the same ballpark, which is interesting because what was the we all gave a
Knock at the Cabin.
Knock at the Cabin a 3
Yeah.
3 on the money.
We all agreed on something. And
Yeah, it's
now-
like-
For the first time and probably the last.
We're becoming a hive mind. We're all
No.
We'll have to see what happens with Magic Mike 3,
that's right.
The Last Dance.
Admit 3 to the hospital because it's gonna be
Hopefully
rough.
it's the last fucking Magic Mike
Reach the
episode.
hospital. Because we can't get rid of our boners.
All right, thanks for
Okay,
listening.
that's enough. That's enough.
Tune in
Catch you guys next
tune in
time.
on Monday for Magic Mike review.
Hopefully Kurt
Bow
won't be-
chicka wow wow.
We're out of here.
Hey guys, be sure to follow us on social media. We are at Admit3Pod on YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram.